Dr. Gravelle, if we move to a territorial system that eliminates taxes on foreign investment or makes it nominal, won't that have the effect of incentivizing investment overseas instead of investing here in America?
I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, if you
lower
lower the tax abroad, capital is going to go abroad. I don't know where the extra capital that Jim's talking about comes from, but unless we have a savings response, there's no reason to have more capital. So if you put capital in one place, it's not going to be in another place.
I agree with you that it's extremely obvious, despite all those who claim it's a panacea, that if you want to encourage economic growth overseas, adopt a territorial system. It's not aimed at creating jobs in America. And in fact, won't the economic effect of adopting a territorial system over time, won't American workers actually see their wages go down?
That's what you would expect. If you move capital out of the United States elsewhere, you expect wages to go down in the United States.
So American workers that are already struggling will pay a price if we adopt the Republican panacea approach. And let me discuss more specifically a matter that all of you have referred to, and those are these rules that few people on this committee, much less the American people, fully understand. And I'll admit to being one of those. As I understand moving to a territorial system, if you tell any of the corporations that were here today that they pay zero on their investments overseas, but they'll pay, according to their standard, 20, 25% on their income that they earn in the United States, isn't there a rather dramatic incentive that provides to characterize as much of your American income as foreign income as possible?
There is. In fact, there already is under the territorial elements of our system.
As you point out, in many ways, a company like General Electric that doesn't really believe in paying taxes, they practically have a territorial system now.
Yes.
But the same rules that are a problem today are the same rules we would have to use in a territorial system. We would be saying to any of these corporations, these are the rules that apply, and the problem referenced to some degree by all of the witnesses here, though clearly disagreeing on how severe it is. But the point is that those rules apply, and we're not just talking about the income they earn in China. We're talking about the income that they earn in Detroit or in Hartford or in Austin, and that there is an incentive to categorize under the rules that haven't worked very well in the past, to categorize as much of that American earned income paid by American consumers as foreign income, because they won't have to pay any tax on that whatsoever.
That's correct, and I think that problem would become a little more serious. These guys wouldn't have been here before if they didn't think there was value in a territorial tax. So I think it will, by removing any possibility of paying tax, it will increase the incentive. Nobody knows how much to engage in more of the schemes like you saw with Google and Forest Labs and GE.
More tax dodging, more cheating, more avoidance.
There's a big incentive to shift paper profits. Yes.
More not playing by the rules that would apply to the distributor of one of these companies down in Texas that may be paying near a full 35%. So you distort and disadvantage domestic companies versus these multinationals. You mentioned, of course, the anti-inversion rules we have, but is it also your belief that for a company like Transocean that didn't only drill for BP in the Gulf, but drilled the tax code by claiming that it was no longer renouncing its American citizenship and claiming that it was a Swiss corporation, do you believe we should have a rule that if you're managed and controlled in the United States, as Transocean still is, it ought to pay taxes just like every other American corporation instead of dodging them in Zug, Switzerland?
Well, I think it would probably be helpful. I wouldn't abandon the anti-inversion rules, which work well, but I think it would be helpful to have a facts and circumstances approach to enforcing these tax rules, because why should just a piece of paper
allow you, if you have management and control here?
I know there's a concern that people would move their headquarters, but I've heard some recent research by Kimberly Clausing that suggested that the headquarters themselves are not very sensitive.
That there's no merit to that job export.
Well, you know, there's always some effect, but I don't
no
think it would be a
substantial
serious
merit.
problem.
And specifically, finally, on your point about even lowering the corporate tax rate, which may have some merit, but your feeling is lowering the corporate tax rate from 35 to say 25%, as has been advanced as a panacea, will have very modest impact on any type of economic growth. We'd be much better to address the size of the deficits in the national debt than focusing on that one aspect.
Yes, my estimates, and I am people have one of the only international corporate tax model in the country with a colleague from Wharton. Using those estimates, capital is just not all that mobile. It's constrained by all sorts of effects, and most of the income that comes in from abroad isn't going to belong to us.
All right,
it's
thank
going to
you.
belong to foreigners.